Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We are with Astrology Victoria. My name is Dulcie, and I'm here with my co-host,
Tatiana, as usual, welcoming you to this second week of March astrology forecast. So, Dulcie, what is in the stars for us the second week of March? Is there anything exciting?
there are a couple exciting things. Right at the end of last week, we had Mars and Venus go into Aquarius. So that's going to be the first thing that we talk about. And let's just go to our slide here. So we're starting with Monday, March 7th. And so that is today, right? It's Monday today? Yeah, it's Monday today. The weekend is over.
The weekend is over. So this is this week, starting this week, pay attention to these few things. So yes, with the ingress of Venus and Mars in Aquarius, as you can see, this is a whole different energy from what we could be experiencing in relationship. We just left that, we're leaving that conjunction with Pluto slowly, as probably in the past weeks, for those more affected by this transit or impacted by this transit of Pluto, Venus, Mars, would have felt that the impact of the shadow of relationship we saw. I mean, and we're seeing in the world stage what's going on also with this archetypal energies that bring out like the worst in people as well. Mars, Pluto, lots of anger, shadow, and then Venus comes to soften things up, but it's all have to do with human relating, social interaction, and probably digging into the not very nice side of the self so it can be transformed. And as you know, and in Venus and Mars in those last degrees of Capricorn also speak, as we talked last week, of structures of power and government, and all the things that come out from the behind, underneath, where Pluto lays, you know, the sewers. And when Venus Mars move into Aquarius, the energy suddenly shifts into a mental field. It becomes more detached. We're able to think about things more, to detach from things, to be more objective. So, Dulcie, would you like to speak to that a little bit? Of
Definitely. Yeah, I like how you're discussing the transition from leaving Pluto and moving into this more air sign. So Pluto, Venus, and Mars are all are planets that involve passion, desires, things we want, things we don't want. And they're heading into Aquarius with Mercury and with Saturn, who are a little bit more rational, using the intellect, using one's sense of what might be the best decision for everyone versus what I personally want, or what might be the best decision for me versus what I am feeling like I want. So we might be feeling a little bit more heady this time, and perhaps thinking through our decisions a little bit more, and that is usually helpful for making healthier decisions. One example of the the Venus Mars Pluto dynamic that I have recently been experiencing, I heard about the show Euphoria from someone on the news network that I watch, and I started watching it, and it is so intense. I usually love intense shows with lots of drama, and this one had a lot of scandalous scenes and drugs um, and abuse even. So part of me was wanting to watch it because it's interesting. But at the same time, it was just messing with my mind. And that night I had crazy dreams. And it's like a back and forth between, do I watch it because I want to watch it, or do I not watch it because it's messing with my mental health a little bit? So now that we're moving into Aquarius, I'm curious to see what my decisions will be based on it, or perhaps it will affect my mental health a little bit differently. So yeah, I'm excited about them moving into an air sign, into Aquarius, where it's forward thinking. Capricorn is also forward thinking, but it's more of a intellectual, idealistic way of thinking. And yeah, what else did I want to say about this?
Possibly there's also more like science, like Aquarius rules over like the scientific thought. So because it's detached from emotion, Pluto and like the deep emotional or the waters, you know, here we're back into thinking, into rational thinking, and having all these planets in Aquarius might give us back more like hard science around maybe topics that we were passionate about. This is what I believe, this is what I think, this is what I want, this is my passion, I want to do this, I want to enact that into, okay, what's the data? You know, it's a very data like energy. Let's look at hard science, hard data, what is actually being, like, stripping it from all passion so we can make better decisions. So as Mars Venus transit through Aquarius, we're going to have a lot more of that objectivity. And it also can lend itself to relationships or people coming into your life that maybe are that bring completely different perspective, something that could even evolve you as something futuristic, even ideas that you never thought of. There could be scientific breakthroughs as well, or scientific, you know, ways of seeing things that we didn't see before, with some kind of discovery, things like that, and then makes us think differently and move forward. Maybe like what you said, Dulcie, in order to have a benefit for all, which is very Aquarian in nature, is like, how can this benefit the whole in a certain sense? However, the shadow of Aquarius, it could be very alienating as well. With a lot of energy in Aquarius, it could also be like, well, we are this fringe or this group, and then we don't belong to that group because we have self-selected. So it's a double-edged sword. It could be either we include everybody's perspective, or even though that's more of a Libra thing, but it's more like this is about the whole. But then within this whole, what's my tribe? Also, this could be a little bit of this energy where we're finding what we resonate with. There's resonance, and we go like click, 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 and then we magnetize ourselves as we leave this plutonic passions behind, and are able to detach from things that maybe were no longer serving us, into, okay, what are the new types of relationships we could have? This can also point to relationships that are different in nature, that we've never experienced before, even more free. And when I say free, I say like at a heart level free, more unconditional. You know, there's that with the whole Aquarian paradigm. It's so much about the whole that is less about me and my desires. So it can become more unconditional, especially because it's going to be paired with this amazing Pisces, huge energy that is also together. So this might actually, hopefully, provoke these quantum leaps in awakening, in understanding, in more compassion, in more, okay, we're on this together. And as we're seeing the world stage is kind of going all berserk at this moment in time, and maybe these horrific events might actually wake us up to think better. And with Saturn and Mercury in Aquarius, everything that you say, do, and create will be long lasting in the future. So what we're saying, doing, creating right now could have a long lasting effect. So it's like, mind our words. What are we saying? And yeah, very good also for good time for studying scientific topics. And Dulcie, I think, that said this the other day, writing papers at this moment. If you want to elaborate on that before we move on.
Yeah, I think there were a few this week and next week. There were a couple of transits that were fairly good for writing papers. So all of
Before
this
it goes into Pisces.
exactly, yeah, exactly. We have Mercury in Aquarius right now, and all of these planets in Aquarius. We have the Sun conjunct Jupiter, which is good for, you know, kind of broad thinking and seeing the whole perspective, a wider perspective. And also when Mercury goes into Pisces, that might make it a little bit more difficult, but Mercury will conjunct Jupiter as well. So though that combination might be good for seeing a broad perspective, being able to take all the knowledge and put it into organized paragraphs, those kind of things. But that's for next week. With all of these planets here, I think it's good for that kind of thing.
So what's next? So that's our Venus, Mars.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing with all of these planets in Aquarius. We want to be careful of making blanket statements about everybody. With Aquarius, it is about what is good for the collective, or what I think is good for the collective, or, you know, what any one person thinks. But obviously we are all different, and with Saturn there, Saturn kind of puts us into different categories, and what works for me might not work for others. So we want to be careful of making blanket statements, blanket rules for everybody when we're all different. And with Venus and Mars being in Aquarius, I could see discussions and debates about gender issues and sexuality issues. And with Saturn there, kind of separating us into these different groups, we want to be careful of not excluding certain groups of people, and making sure that everyone is heard and has their you know, and does not have their rights infringed upon, and things like that. So those kind of topics I might see coming up. Okay,
Yeah.
shall we move on? The next image was just an image of Aquarius. So this was designed by our very own Tatiana. Did you want to say something about this image?
Well, the image is, again, it speaks about this connection of everybody in service of a collective goal, which is our Earth. It's like the Aquarian family. And it's the non-identification with anything in particular, because it's this collective thinking or thought. You know, there's that light bulb, like a thought, and the scientific, and it's also like knowledge and science, and it has that vibe of futuristic, cosmic vibe. If you have not watched our video on Aquarius, we have a very detailed video, so we recommend you check it out. So this is just so to give you an idea of how that Aquarian energy feels like, and how to make the best of it. It really is possibly starting to find communities or people that you resonate with, that you can start creating networks that are not hierarchical like this, but that are interconnected. Is the interdependence. So if right now you're in a moment where you can find your own people's, where you can do projects together, it's a great time to make alliances with people that are like in the same page, and stick to that, work together. That is a very Aquarian thing. Let's work together, let's co-create, let's collaborate. So if you're in that batch, you know, this is probably the best thing we can do with this Aquarian energy, is find solutions that are good for the whole. and many people are starting to move to communities. I hear all around where I live, people already moving to start their own little communities. I have a few friends that are already moving into the communities they're finding, or buying land, or and it's very interesting. Myself, I'm moving to a community as well. So it's just the nature of the time. So just go with it and do the best you can with it. If you are, of course, a Leo, Taurus, or a Scorpio, these energies might be a little bit conflicting, not so easy. So just make mental note of how you're integrating these Aquarian energies into your life, so they don't become, again, alienating or too distant or too detached, but
or too rigid. Opinions, yeah. And if you want to check out the Aquarius video that we made, or any of the other teachings we've done on the different signs, and there are various videos in that playlist. It's called Astro Teachings on our channel, so you can check that out if you want to watch the Aquarius video. And yeah, shall we move on? Let's go to Sun conjunct Jupiter. So that's from March 2nd to the 9th. That is Wednesday to next Wednesday. So a good portion of this week, the second half of it. Sun conjunct Jupiter, let me just circle that for everybody here. It's in Pisces. So Jupiter is very happy in Pisces. Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces. So Jupiter is all about expansion and growth and generosity and seeking out knowledge and making new experiences. And Pisces is a immutable water sign where the opportunities are endless, and everything kind of dissolves into one huge thing. Kind of our identities are merged with the identities of everyone and everything else. So Jupiter is very able to expand here. And when he's next to the sun, all planets, when they are within 15 degrees of the sun, in Hellenistic astrology is called being under the beams. And that means they are starting to kind of take to their sick beds or start to feel ill and not be able to express themselves the way they want, because they're being outshined by the sun, they're being burned up by the sun. The thing with the Jupiter here is, because Jupiter is in its own sign, it is called being in its chariot. And so that means it's protected. So it doesn't experience any of those harsh, it's not inflicted by the sun at all. So it's able to express itself fully and combine itself with the sun, and to produce things like optimism and generosity and openness, and being able to experience new opportunities, having new opportunities just show up on our doorstep. And we might find ourselves being interested in intellectual topics and things like philosophy or astrology, and like we're always interested in astrology, so that's that's just all the time. But we'll have a desire to discuss these kind of topics with our friends and get into like deep philosophical discussions with each other.
With Sun conjunct Jupiter, of course, there's this big expansion of the self, the sun, the self, the expressive nature of the self gets like a huge boost. So it's wonderful for self-expression, especially people that are like Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio. You might feel this energy as a huge boost of emotional expression and expression of self. If your sun is in either of the water signs, especially around those degrees, might feel that like a positive wave of hope. Jupiter also gives hope because it expands, it brings gifts, it's the greater benefic. So you might be feeling that really big if you have also your rising in any of these signs, especially in Pisces. This is a great moment for spiritual renewal because it's in Pisces as well. There's this connection to spirit. So there is almost like the veil is, it's not only thin, but it's like you can see the great extents of compassion and truth, because also Jupiter has the sense of the seeker of truth, of spiritual truth, of personal truth. Lo and behold, and beware, because in that search for personal truth, you might become a little bit too self-aggrandized. That is the shadow side. It's like, well, I found the truth. It's the truth, it's my truth, and that's it. And then that is the truth, and therefore you all have to follow that truth. And it's not necessarily the case. You might be having mystical experiences that pertain just to yourself and your connection to the divine. However, the tendencies to become dogmatic or overinflated could be there potentially in this conjunction, especially if you are Virgo, Sagittarius, or Gemini, because it's in a square. So if you have any planets in Gemini, Sagittarius, or Virgo, you might feel these energies as wanting to expand you into some more self-expression. However, be careful that it does not become an overly inflated ego. So just keep grounded, keep level-headed, and keep the humility as well. That would be my advice if you would like to take it. If you feel you're in situations where, well, that's it, you found, I mean, you got Jesus's certificate, certified Jesus, right? And no, your experiences are yours. It's divine, it's beautiful, and remember that everybody's truth is also the truth, I would say. And now I'm talking very dogmatically, Dulcie.
Right.
I'm telling you the truth about astrology. So even question that. Use your Mercury in Aquarius to even question that. Question everything. I will still say with this transit, it's very important to keep that critical, analytical, critical thinking really active, because with these transits in Pisces, there could be also that tendency to believe anything everybody says, to be super naive as well. That tends to happen as well with a lot of this Piscean energy. There's no boundaries, so we're permeable. So it's important to keep discernment, is a very important thing at this time as well, especially when Mercury will go into Pisces. It will be even more important to use clear discernment, you know. So those are just the, you know, words of caution.
Mm-hmm. And with that lack of boundaries, we might and all of the opportunities that might be placed in front of us, we might have a difficult time saying no, or we might take on too much and realize that we're getting burnt out. So yeah, perhaps just keep that in mind with this transit. All right, let's move to Mercury going into Pisces.
Loopy, loopy, loop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there are a few transits that are similar to Mercury retrograde, I find, you know, where Mercury isn't kind of functioning the way that it normally would. So Mercury conjunct Neptune might be something like that, or Mercury, what was another one I was thinking of? Anyways, Mercury in Pisces would be one of those. So Mercury is all about the intellect and rational thinking and communication, and you know, finding what fits here and what fits here, and organizing things mentally and physically. when it's in Pisces, where there are no boundaries and it's a water sign and it's a mutable sign, it's just, it's all over the place. It's practicing its free spiritness, and
Flow.
yeah, it's practicing its
Flow.
so it's a little bit different than how it would normally function. Doesn't mean that it's not functioning, it's just a different form. And anybody with Mercury and Pisces in their chart is probably
A poet.
yeah, fairly, go with the kind of person. And
Life in images,
definitely. Yeah. So I would love to hear your thoughts on Mercury and Pisces.
Well, certainly Mercury in Pisces, I wrote in my notes, the mind is attuned to the magical realms. There's not much focus. And it's all about art, spirit, magic, and mysticism. So it's the great, great opportunity to attune the senses to the extrasensorial. When Mercury enters there, the mind reaches far beyond what can be seen. Like Virgo, its opposite is, I see it, I can organize it, I can classify it, it's here, it's tangible. In Pisces is, I'm attuning to the sensation of a vibration that gives me some kind of information that I cannot really explain what it is abstract. So trying to focus Mercury when it wants to be abstract, it's not the best idea. This is the time to let it flow. Great time for automatic writing. So if you want to get messages, channeled messages, get a pen and just empty your mind and just write whatever comes through your mind. That's how messages will filter through. Whatever it's in your subconscious might just come. Great time for dreaming and writing your dreams down. Have a dream journal by your bed. You might get so much information from your dreams to advance your life, to move forward. So you could be getting messages. You could be also attuned to artistic pursuits, writing music, poetry. And when Venus gets into Pisces, it's even going to be more about the beauty and grace. But with Mercury there's the capacity to give, again, to let's say, write a poem. A poem does not necessarily need to be something very rational, but there's beauty to it, and there's the words, they're not very connected, but they rhyme, and it's the overall feeling or sensation of the poem or the music or so this is a great time for artists to experiment with not trying to control anything, just be with what wants to birth out of you through your mental body, Mercury. The great time, to channel. So people who would like to be more in tune with what channeling is, it's just learning to quiet the mind, to learn to listen to messages that come from inside of you, or if you want to call it beyond, we can call it beyond. But it's a great time for meditation, for a retreat of some sort. This is kind of a downtime. So if you can take time this week and all the time while Mercury's transiting Pisces, to find moments of stillness, silence, and contemplation. Water, sitting by a body of water, or having a little fountain running, all these things might attune you to this energy. And because we're in this huge need for compassion with what's happening around us, this energy gives us the opportunity to open the heart. The sun also represents the heart. Is Leo, right? It's like, it's this, it's what's in my soul, my being, that can open to the compassion of all that is. Like, I am the plant, I am the cat, I am the, and have that. Speaking of cats, and I don't know if you were aware that my little Neptune here, that has been in our video before. Oh, but you cannot see it. Can you see it?
You can see him.
You can see him?
Can you move it down?
Here.
There you go.
Little Neptune. So little Neptune is there sleeping with his cone. He got into an accident, lost a little limb, lost a leg. And you know, it's, for me, it's been, this whole energy of flowing with life has been kind of brought up into my consciousness, as I am a Virgo, so I'm being very strongly hit in general by the Piscean archetype of just flowing with what is, not trying to control life, but life has meaning regardless. Everything has a purpose and a meaning. And if we detach from the painful, you know, the stories of suffering, which are the scorpionic themes, South Node in Scorpio, and trust, you know, the benevolence of the divine, and that everything happens for a reason, even the most horrible things that we're seeing in the world, we have a choice, and we also have the choice to be at peace with what is and flow and still love it. That is kind of the message I'm getting from this whole Piscean influx, is, can we love unconditionally regardless of what our views, our judgments, and, you know, and that's more of the cold Aquarian energy, or beyond the passions and the need to control, Pluto. This would raise that question for us: can we go into our heart and still love all that is? You know, and it's not by chance that Jesus and, you know, the little fish and Christianity has that as a symbol, right? Like the Christ is not Jesus the person, is the Christ consciousness of unity. So if you are watching this video, you might actually understand what I mean. And if you don't understand it, it's totally fine. Try to sense what this means. Unconditional love, you know, it's something that we can talk about, and it's very easy to say, but how can we actually feel it when we need to love something that we apparently could never love? You see, these are the themes that are going to be percolating in the collective, and hopefully we can align with more of that unconditional sense of being, thinking, sensing as the other is also me. That's the message, and this is coming. So just ponder.
Love it. All right, shall we move on? I think we just have one more slide to really discuss. The next slide, oh, of course, is the image.
And if you want to video on Pisces, this is the archetype. And if you're new to astrology, we highly recommend you get really acquainted with the feelings and the sensing of the archetypes. The archetypes and images and visuals are part of that Piscean, Mercury, Pisces kind of mind, or Mercury, Neptune, because it's like seeing everything more in images than in actual logical words. And the Pisces has this thing, and the archetypes have that. So if you can feel into the archetype, you will much better understand how the energy wants you to be and how to better navigate it as it's happening and not go against it. So when the energy is very fluid like that and you try to control it too much, you might have a pipe bursting, especially with Jupiter there. You know, you want to control too much everything with this energy. No, it has to be that way. I have to be rigid. I have to. What can happen is then suddenly you have a burst. Something happens, your house gets flooded, and you're like, you can't, then you have to give up, and you have, okay, I need to change my plans. So with this energy, we recommend go with the flow. Don't make too many plans. You know, it's better to let the divine guide you in your everyday plan, at least for now, while this whole transit is in action.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So we've discussed Venus conjunct Mars quite a bit, so I think we're just going to move past the slide. And we discussed it at the beginning of this video when it was when the two ingressed into Aquarius. So just what I want to say about this quickly is that the conjunction ends March 21st, if we're going with the 3-degree orb. So anything you want to add about Venus and Mars, Tatiana?
No, I think we covered a lot of it. So
Yeah.
yeah, move on with the next.
Okay, so then our last slide today is the Sun conjunct Neptune.
Hmm.
It is March 10th to the 16th, so that is Thursday to next Wednesday. I'll just draw them here.
And on
Oh,
12, because the moon is going to be in Cancer, I think that will be a beautiful time to be in the feminine element.
hmm.
Beautiful time to maybe revisit themes regarding the mother, women, the home, lineage, all of that, and whatever area of life um, this is happening for you, the whole Pisces stellium, and also where Cancer is, it could be a really nice time to feel soft. The moon will add the whole trine of the sun, Neptune, trine the moon. It's like a beautiful time for softness, for caring, for self-care, for care to others. So
Yeah, that's March 11th and 12th where the
March
moon will
11th,
be in Cancer.
again, it's not like the exact date, but if
Yeah.
you can do some kind of maybe do some kind of something at home, or a beautiful meditation, or maybe go visit your mom. I don't know, anything that has to do with the themes of the moon. It's a very feminine, very yin energy, this configuration. And Sun Neptune, it's definitely like, again, the expansion of that veil. It's even bigger. It's like we're drifting. What I'm getting is this image of drifting and drifting and drifting and drifting. It's not only already in Pisces, now conjunct Neptune. It's like the whole ocean suddenly is open. The issue with this is like you could get lost, in the ocean of consciousness. So great thing, it's really great to do some kind of uh, spiritual session, either meditation, or if you want to do some kind of healing session of sorts. It's good to do it if you were really wanting to connect to spirit. Beware of, I would say, escapism, and because the downside of this is getting lost. Literally, it's such a vast ocean of everything that is, that it's very easy to lose oneself. And for instance, things like alcohol or drugs, I would not recommend necessarily um, using any of that if what you want is to escape reality, because then you can get actually lost, and the experience might not even be positive. The aftermath in particular could be devastating. So stay grounded with these energies. The best way to do is be anchors and balloons. You can be a balloon and fly as high as you want, but keeping very centered, very in your body. If anything, I would say do embodied practices, especially because we have that beautiful sextile to the North Node with these energies. And the North Node is in Taurus. And Taurus is about being slow, about being connected to the earth and to the senses and the body. So it's a great time to do some kind of embodied practice, even some dancing, I don't know, anything that could connect you more to the divine in a very secure way. So I would say going too much out might leave you stranded. So that's again for people in the mutable cross. So Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, and Sagittarius, beware of getting lost. Anything you'd like to say about that in particular?
Sure. So with the Sun and Neptune conjunct in Pisces, that's I would say increased intuition, increased sensitivity and compassion for other people and other beings, a desire to relieve the suffering of others, and we might feel the weight of the world on our shoulders a little bit. So we'll have to practice recognizing what is ours to bear and what is not ours to bear. The dissolution of the ego. The sun is, the ego self, identity, and Neptune and Pisces is just the dissolver of anything. So we might have questions of, who am I? What is my purpose? What am I doing here?
Is gone.
Yeah, so we'll be thinking about having those kind of deep thoughts and exploring them a little bit. And yeah, I thought about like the desire to escape those unpleasant feelings. We might be feeling overwhelmed with, because our compassion is so heightened, we might desire to find some sort of release or escape from those intense feelings. So just be aware of those kinds of desires, and choose your behaviors accordingly.
And also, this particular configuration is trining the South Node. And with that, I get the sense that there could be an opening of Akashic memories, meaning whether or not you believe in past lives, or it could be a lineage, there's like a memory, in a cell memory, that you kind of suddenly remember a gift. Maybe you suddenly feel so attracted to, I don't know, playing the piano, and you've never played the piano before. And then suddenly you notice like, oh my gosh, I'm so good at this. Suddenly there could be openings to memories, and you just don't know why you know something, but you just know it, and because the South Node is connected to things that we had been in the past, or connected to in the past. So that could open the floodgates to gifts, gifts to be used in this lifetime for our evolution of what we have not necessarily yet explored. And of course, this is the collective South Node. If your South Node is in Scorpio, indeed, this is even more, this would even speak more to you. But at a collective level, there might be, again, memories of things that are maybe from the realm of the occult, or rituals, or things that are in the memory that could percolate again to the surface. And people might be able to channel these old things that are new or revamped in a certain sense. Well, that's something like I kind of get this idea. That it could be also a good time to do maybe a regression if you want to understand more about yourself, your soul's path, or whatever. Things like that that connect you to some kind of past. Because it's a trine, there's a possibility to use the gifts. And like what Dulcie say, we're so open that being open can be a good thing, but it can also be a negative thing. If you're really already too open, you can also absorb everything, from the suffering and the pain and anybody's emotions. Just because your field of energy is so connected to everything, you might be even more sensitive at this time. So if you feel like overly sensitive, then self-care is really a must. And sometimes it looks like maybe taking a bath with salt to clear energetic imprints from your body. Taking baths, if you're in a crowd of people and you just feel drained, again, maybe use salt baths are great to do that. And the ancients kind of knew this, using plant medicine, like herbs to clean your house, sage, all of these things that are considered like woo-woo out there. There's some kind of ancient knowledge about why these things existed and why they were used. And even this knowledge might start percolating the collective and understanding the importance of it. Because yes, we are connected to everything. And if the field of thought, the mental field of the world is fear and hatred and anger, then you might be picking up on that. So this expansion and connection to all that is might be extremely overwhelming. So it could be very positive, but it also could be very draining. Up to you. Also learn to do energetic shields. Visualize like a nice golden shield around you. I'm always giving you these practical things you can do. So the astrology is not just, oh, this is happening. If you're feeling this in yourself, then you may use these as tools to navigate these energies to their best. So that's my 2 cents on this.
I'll be getting a past life regression, my first past life regression, when the sun is in Aries, and that is the axis where my nodes are. So I'm a little bit looking forward to that. That wasn't on purpose, but the timing wasn't. But yeah, now that you've said that, I'm a little curious.
Well, there you go.
All right, well, I think we should wrap it up. What do you think?
Yeah, this is lovely. So take
Awesome.
this time to all right, and then here's my little baby. Which is little cool, my little Neptune. So that you know, Neptune, lots of compassion has been coming also my way after his accident. Lots of people just lovingly coming to cuddle him, and so I've been experiencing it in a very loving way as well. So may the Piscean love and compassion, and of course for our fellow human beings who are right now suffering so much. So what we can do is keep loving, keep emanating love and light. If that's the only thing you can do, then just do that. It's already contributing. Okay, wrap it up.
All right.
Next time.
Thanks, Tatiana, and thank you everybody for watching.
Thank everybody for watching. Please feel free to share, subscribe, and like so this information can go far and wide. We love you.
All right. See you next week, everyone. Bye.